Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we've got a bunch of different updates on NXIVM. Now we're going to talk about Gillibrand in a bit because of what Fox News is reporting, but none of this is new. So it seems like Fox News is outing the Gillibrand NXIVM connection now to kind of try to derail any further chances of her being a viable presidential or even possibly vice presidential candidate in the future. As we know, after these debates and primaries go down, oftentimes one of the people up on the panel ends up being chosen as a running mate because, hey, they've garnered some support too. They've been propped up in the media, all that terrible stuff. But if you've been listening to me, paying attention, Gillibrand is pretty connected to NXIVM in the fact that her father worked for them. And it gets even more bizarre from there. But that's not the big news to me. There's two really big revelations. One today, one a couple days ago, and then one reported a couple days ago. Really weird stuff. All right, so let's start with this. They're dropping charges, big charges on Raniere in federal court in that district. Now, this does not mean that these charges will not how do I say this? Be brought up in another court or in a separate district, but a federal judge basically derailed these charges too. And this is kind of big news because it's disappointing. And especially when the next story comes up. You wonder how this could even happen. The remaining defendants in the NXIVM case had an appearance in Brooklyn Federal Court on Thursday. Several counts, including child exploitation and child pornography, were dismissed against leader Keith Raniere. That's because the judge determined those crimes were alleged to happen in the Northern District, which is here in the Capital Region. The prosecutor says they have been in contact with the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District about those charges. Attorneys for both Smallville actress Allison Mack and alleged NXIVM bookkeeper Kathy Russell are still in active plea negotiations with the government. All right, let's unpack that for a minute. So additionally, the judge said he might consider a short adjournment of the April 29th trial date. So we might get it on April 29th, we might not. The federal charges of child exploitation and CP are not going to be brought against Raniere. And remember, Claire Bronfman and others are still in plea negotiations. This isn't looking great, I'll be honest. Now, here's where it gets even more bizarre, guys. So the prosecutors in the case are now claiming, this is not telling me they're doing a bang-up job, by the way, that they unknowingly reproduced CP. Now, let's think about this for a minute. We're not going to have these charges go out federally, right? That's not going to happen. Those are against Raniere alone. We know that Allison Mack was definitely brought into this. And so far, Bronfman, Salinas, none of those have even been mentioned in these. Salinas, as far as I know, hasn't been indicted anywhere. Okay? But now we have the prosecutors admitting that they committed a federal crime by accident. So what does this tell me? Well, number one, they have the evidence that obviously this stuff is real, 100%. Otherwise, this wouldn't have come up in court. And number two, they're doing a pretty poor job of looking at that evidence if they didn't know a device containing it that they were copying over had that on it. So let's just read the article because it's pretty unbelievable. Prosecutors overseeing the NXIVM case admitted in court Thursday that they accidentally replicated CP, a federal crime, while turning over mountains of evidence to defense attorneys. Now, you would think that this stuff would be labeled and put into a special place. And again, since this is an admission, why is this judge federally not going to charge them in the court in Brooklyn, but saying, hey, in the Northern District you could do so? That does not exude confidence in me. The bombshell mistake, you bet, was revealed after a lawyer for accused sex cult leader Keith Raniere told Brooklyn Federal Court Judge Nicholas Garufis there had been a recent technical issue as prosecutors turned over discovery in the case where Raniere is accused of manufacturing, yes, There are an issue regarding one of the discovery devices. Defense attorney Mark Agnelfalo told the court before offering the floor to Assistant U.S. Attorney Maria Penza, we did not know there was CP images on the device. How do you not know that? How are these things not been combed for every JPEG file, every TIFF file, every zip file, every MP4, MOV, 3GP, AVI, WMV? You know, I guess I'm kind of a techie, but this is basic 101 stuff, especially if this stuff has been going on for decade after decade. Come on, man. Give me a break. So the FBI is working to create a new device, she added sheepishly, saying the defense will have the cleaned up evidence promptly. Not loving the prosecution in this case. So, what's next? Tell me. Well, Fox is finally coming out against Gillibrand for her father working for the NXIVM cult. All right. Now, this is a report. I don't know why they're saying that this is a report. First of all, Frank Parlotto put this out a long time ago on Art Voice, all the way back, I believe it was in late June. We'll look at that article here. Now, I'm not even sure how far they get into this, but, you know, they interviewed Parlotto on this, and it goes into big league politics. A lot of people are telling me that big league politics, and I think some of their work is good. I think Cassandra, for instance, Fairbanks, has a good heart. I'm very glad that she's covered the Assange case the way she has. I definitely don't agree with a lot of the things they produced there. A lot of people saying that Bannon may be behind that. I'm not sure. But NXIVM had Doug Rutnick, who is Gillibrand's father, as a consultant. His father's wife, her stepmother, was also a member of NXIVM. Doug got her into the cult, and then Gillibrand's father got Gillibrand's future stepmother into the cult. Doug left the cult because he was sued. Claire Bronfman, after her father was sued, donated money to Gillibrand. Gillibrand accepted it. So Parlotto's basically coming out here, but that's not really even half the story. All right? So yes, the other thing is that Gillibrand knowingly took money. There's other political connections here. If we go all the way back to this 2007 Post article, this is 2007, okay? About 12 years ago. Not quite. It's in October, so, you know, a ways back, where NXIVM was donating to Hillary Clinton. Their members. These guys have all sorts of political connections. Remember, Edgar Bronfman, the father of Claire and Sarah, was the head of the World Jewish Congress. He in many ways mentored Hillary Clinton's later political career as a senator here in New York. And then we know where she went. On to lose the presidency, but you know, she's been in the Obama administration, you know, the Clinton Foundation. These are heavily connected people. Heavily connected people. So here's where it gets really bizarre for me. Okay? First of all, Parlotto before is kind of defending Gillibrand's father and what he did here. And by the way, here are the court documents, or at least a very poor scan or image of them. And basically in this, Parlotto's claiming that Rutnick, who is Gillibrand's father, went in there to rescue his first cousin. And then he did, and he married her. And this is also about the same time Roger Stone supposedly worked as a consultant there. And Parlotto has been on the record before saying that those two people were working against NXIVM to bring them down. I don't know that I believe any of that. You know, we're dealing with people who make millions of dollars, Parlotto included. And him being screwed over financially by NXIVM is what created, you know, this vendetta with the Frank Report and Art Voice. I'm not saying Parlotto's a bad guy. I don't know him from Adam. I've never met the guy. I'm glad he's doing all this work. But again, this article really paints a very creepy picture. You know, I'll let you read it yourself, but if there's an ounce of truth to this, you know, and not only is Gillibrand taking money from the Bronfmans and her father working for the organization, but do you think she might be familiar with the story of how her dad, who divorced her mom, married his first cousin, and the NXIVM connection. And, this was actually something that I brought up with Lyons from the Times-Union after the symposium, or whatever you want, a NXIVM, a talk that I put up on the website, or not on the website, but on the page. Please hit that subscribe and thumbs up this, by the way, guys. Thank you so much. So you can kind of watch that there, but when I brought that up to him, he didn't want to talk about it. So here's what else is a little bizarre to me. So here we are, it's the first week of April, but there's a huge article here in the Daily Mail at the end of March, over a week ago. Are these just the precursors? Even Slate, Slate.com, another very large story on this. It's been out there. The New York Post had done stories. So why now? I mean, it looks to me like they don't even want her in the conversation at the debates for presidency. I don't think they like how she's getting attention, vocally attacking Trump. And it looks to me that's why, you're seeing Fox pick this up from big leagues politics. But this information, as bizarre as it is, and how it shows high-level political connections, really, again, we should be furious that the federal charges of CP and I believe it's child exploitation as well are being dropped against Raniere federally. And at the same time, they're admitting that the prosecutors didn't know that was actually on a device that they copied over for the defense committing a federal crime, showing that they're being very sloppy with this case. And I understand there must be mountains of evidence, but get it effing together, guys. Oh, all right, guys. I appreciate you all for coming in on this update. Please hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell and the notifications. Guys, if you are not following me on Twitter, you should be. I do a lot of news feed. I retweet a lot of other stuff. NXIVM, we do 4 videos a day. On the regular channel, we do one a day over on We Are Change. Make sure you're subscribed there. 4 a day, or altogether. 3 a day over here on Pulse Change. Video after video after video. There's a NXIVM update you might have missed. So, Pulse Change, We Are Change. Please support my work. And we'll be doing more of these live streams. And hopefully, guys, when we get enough people on these, I'll even take calls. I see some of your messages. It's hard for me to kind of keep up the pace and go through article after article, read you the stuff, manage the show and do everything. But we're going to take calls eventually. So we keep growing this channel. I think we hit 10, 15,000 subscribers, somewhere in between there. We're going to definitely start taking calls on this show. So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And get out there, do your thing, be the change you want to see in the world.